The different zoning codes accordingly, and what you see, the yellows are the current neighborhoods of the city of Jerusalem. And what's relevant for our discussion is the expansion of the current neighborhoods of the city of Jerusalem, which is sort of orange. So you see here in Gilo, the expansions planned around the city of the neighborhood of Gilo is defined here. The expansion of Arab Sawakra is here. The expansion of Isawiya, the expansion of the different neighborhoods, both predominant Jewish neighborhoods and predominant Arab neighborhoods. What you're going to see in the tour today, in the second map I have for you, which you'll see in a second, is zoom in on the northern part of the city, which we will see in our tour. We decided to focus on the northern part of the city. We could have just the same focus on the southern part of the city, but for the sake of you understanding and feeling, it doesn't matter, and I decided to focus on this area. So again, you will be able to see areas for industry, and consistent with this map. Sometimes you hear over the news that the Israeli government decided to build in Jerusalem. Well, let me share with you the process, how things are done. The Israeli law is based on British law. And what we have is local committees, which are actually managed by myself and the municipality. It's a combination of professionals, the chief architect of the city, and professional people, and then it's given to the committee of the municipality. Then we are only recommending permits in most of the cases. It goes up to the district committee, which looks at the plans according to the master plan 2000 and tells people if they're allowed or not allowed to build according to the zoning codes defined by this map. And then above the district committee, there's the national committee. And according to law, when bigger plans, I'm not talking about one building, bigger plans that naturally are talking about expansion of a new neighborhood or anything, goes through that process. Usually it starts from the local, then it goes to the district, then it can go to the national, and any resident, if feels that there's injustice, can challenge it go to the courts, to the local, to the district, to the national committee, and many times the same piece of property, you hear it on the news 3, 4, 5, half a dozen, maybe a dozen times. But they're all derived from this plan. And so, good example to what I'm talking about, take the map down. I will show you a zoom in of the area we're going to be seeing today. And again, you have these maps, you'll have these maps in your hand. Okay, please hold this like this. Right now, we are standing right here on this porch. On the west side of Ramat Shlomo, which is predominantly Jewish neighborhoods. I don't know of any Arabs living here. This is predominantly Jewish neighborhoods. And you see around the neighborhood this strip that is aligned with the strip I showed you, the larger map. You see on the east side of Ramat Shlomo another piece of property that is going to be expanded for about 800 housing units. On the north of us, another piece of 800 units. This is again aligned with the master plan. You'll be able to see that it's with high correlation. And you see here the neighborhood of Ramot right in front of us. I'll share with you in a second. Again, another piece of property here, another piece of property here. That's going to be expansion over on top of what we have already. Interestingly enough, if you look at the map, Jews prefer to live in Jewish neighborhoods, and Arabs prefer to live in Arab neighborhoods. But you should be aware that there are more Arabs living in predominant Jewish neighborhoods than Jews in Arab neighborhoods.
Do you know how many?
Thousands. Big thousands, number of thousands. By the way, they don't need protection when they live in a Jewish neighborhood. Unlike Jews that live in predominant Arab neighborhoods that unfortunately do need protection. But I, as mayor of Jerusalem, it has nothing to do with me, and I'm not going to tell people where to live and where not to live. As mayor of the city of Jerusalem, my responsibility is to enable the city to scale legally in a professional way, where we, number one, can expand the number of housing units to the natural growth, enable people to build legally rather than not legally, enable young people to stay in the city rather than not stay in the city because there's no housing. And housing is an initial important part of any major city, including the city of Jerusalem. How do we scale for natural expansion? And when you zoom in at this piece of the northern part of the city, what you'll find is something very interesting. 2,500 housing units here are Arab-owned land. And we're planning 2,500 apartments for Arab residents in this area. This piece of property, 800 units and 800 units, are also Arab-owned land. And we're developing the master plan to enable them to live and improve quality of life. And in the neighborhood of Neve Yaakov, Pisgat Ze'ev, Ramat Shlomo, and Ramot, these are, we believe, are expansion of Jewish neighborhoods. And if you look at the proportion, you will find that it's very close to the natural growth of the city of Jerusalem. Now this is just expansion. What about a lot of piece of land that more of the undeveloped land is owned by Arab neighborhoods privately than Jewish neighborhoods in this area? So when you look with the naked eye at the northern part of the city that we're touring today, you'll see that we're totally committed to all residents, regardless of their religion. We are planning pieces of property to enable natural growth of the city of Jerusalem. And if you look backwards in time, you will see that the Arab population in Jerusalem is not shrinking. As a matter of fact, it's growing faster than the Jewish population. And there's a reason for that. One is the quality of life in the city, and the second is we allow them. We allow them to live freely and work freely and build freely. And so this is what you're going to see in the tour today. There's one more thing I asked my team to show you on the maps, and it has a lot to do with the catch-up of neglect that happened in this neighborhood and other places in the city of Jerusalem. Naturally, I'm still unhappy with the quality of life of our residents. The number of schools, the infrastructure, the roads. We're going to show you today the infrastructure we invested here in the northern part of Jerusalem, in Jewish and Arab neighborhoods. I think that the picture is worth 1,000 words. What I want to share with you, though, is on this map, I've asked my team to show you where we had classrooms, which are kindergartens and schools, until I took office. They're marked in blue. Okay? And then what we've accomplished in the first 5 years of my first term, just in this part of the town, 171 new classrooms. They're marked in green. And the partial plan we have into the future, part of them is already in the process of working. New classrooms, again over 100, are marked in yellow. In this neighborhood, my goal, this neighborhood not only has enough place for school for the neighborhood of Bet Hanina and Shuafat, but it actually brings some of the people from the Shuafat refugee camp and other places around the city, from the northern part. So this is a hub for education, and we're very proud of the relationship we have here with the local community leaders of Ramat Shlomo, and exactly the same with Bet Hanina Shuafat. We meet with them regularly, we listen to their needs, and a lot of the plans we have into the future are totally aligned with the goals that we define together with the local leadership of Bet Hanina and Shuafat. And so you'll see with the naked eye that there's a significant growth in the number of classrooms that we built here, already built and we will be building. 5 years ago I said that I'm committed to catch up with the number of classrooms we build in all of the city of Jerusalem, and indeed that's exactly what's been happening, and we've dramatically decreased the pressure that we had. And where do we put all the kids that we have? In this case, Arab kids in the Arab neighborhoods of Bet Hanina and Shuafat in the northern part of the city. Another complexity which I'd like you to see on this map is the integration between the Jewish and Arab neighborhoods. For those of you who don't know the city, this is the borderline of the city of Jerusalem. And so you see Ramot and Ramat Shlomo are predominantly Jewish neighborhoods. Shuafat and Bet Hanina are Arab neighborhoods. Pisgat Zev and Neve Yaakov are Jewish neighborhoods. Up on the north, we have the Atarot industrial zone, which is I think there's over 30,000 employees that work here on a daily basis. We're now building an industrial zone, Shar Tzafon, right here, next to Shuafat and the French Hill. And south of us is the French Hill, Ramat Eshkol, and the industrial zone, the employment zone of al-Quds. And when people, I did hear, I remember on the international news, that we're building in over the green line in Ramat Shlomo. Take down this map. And Ramot. Right in front of us is the neighborhood of Ramot. It's predominantly a Jewish neighborhood. And between Ramot and Ramat Shlomo, there's a bit of forest. The new developments we're making are right in front of us, about 730, 750 units. And around Ramat around Ramat Shlomo, right where we are, right here, below us, between us and Ramot, and between us and Ramat Eshkol, and between us and the French Hill, between two Jewish neighborhoods, is where we're developing 2,000 apartments for Jews. We assume it's Jews. And I want to make a very important point about the bids the national government does. When the national government bids 700 units in the neighborhood below us, the bids are open practically for the highest bidder. Meaning, the national government, when it bids piece of land, it cannot discriminate by Israeli law. If the people bidding are Jews, Muslims, Christians, what their political opinion is, this is English law, based on English law, which we're very proud of. So eventually what happens is the people that win the bids are usually people that give high value to living in this area of the city of Jerusalem. So even if the national government decides, and it has decided, to create a master plan and work according to the Master Plan 2000, and then part of the Master Plan 2000 is to bid new pieces of land according to the law for the highest bidder, and develop private property, private land, sometimes owned by Arabs, in the same philosophy of we have to scale and build to enable the residents of Jerusalem scale to be 1 million residents strong. Once this is launched, it goes through the legal process and anybody could challenge it, but it's according to one law. And in many times I feel that the people don't understand the process and don't understand how we're working, what's the pattern. It's not that one day, one morning, the Prime Minister or the Mayor of Jerusalem wakes up in the morning and he says, hey, I want to change everything, I want to develop 1,000 apartments for whoever. It doesn't work like that. It's part of the process, and if you don't work according to the process, you get sued or you get stopped by the High Supreme Court. And thank God, because we're working in a professional manner, in an ethical manner, in a legal manner, according to the law, according to the master plan, we are able to pass these processes through the different committees and get things done. And getting things done, you will see today, is regardless of people's religion. There's no other way I know. So, again, what you see here is we decided to show you one element of it. And in our tour, we will see more development. And I insisted that we also take you to areas that we're developing for the Arab neighborhoods of Shuafat and Bet Hanina, side by side to the development we're making here for the Jewish population. I'll stop here and I'll be happy to answer any question. Yeah?
Could you just comment on the security situation in Jerusalem?
On the security situation? Well, unfortunately, in the last half year since the terrible murder of the 3 Jewish boys and the Arab boy, the Muhammad Abu Khdir, which lives in Shuafat, we had riots. The riots were usually by young teenagers from the age of 10 to 18, the majority of them, that have taken liberty and being violent and throwing stones and Molotov cocktails and creating damage. This is something that is unacceptable. And the national government, after Tzuk Eitan, and the Jerusalem police and I have worked very hard to return the kids back to school. You have to understand that the vast majority of the Arab population in Jerusalem is very unhappy with the unrest. Since you talk about the future of their kids, and unfortunately the kids didn't listen to the parents or to the local leadership or the muhtarim, or unfortunately sometimes even to the principals in the schools. What we did is, side by side to increasing the number of policemen and getting into where the violence was, and returning law and order to the different neighborhoods, I actually worked very hard with the school principals to get the kids back on school. And there was a period of time that the kids didn't, actually very few of them went to school because of the riots. In the last 2 weeks, over 2 weeks, actually all of the kids are back in school. So for me, one of the best tests is to see, and I get a list on a daily basis on the number of kids that go to the schools, and today you have 95% of the kids back in school, which is a very good sign. Which is a very good sign for me. The second thing, which I find very important, is working very hard with the local communities to continue developing the neighborhoods according to the plan that we have with them. We haven't moved an inch in developing the different roads, classrooms, etc. And I think we could demonstrate, as I showed you in the map, significant growth in the investments we're making in the Arab neighborhoods of the city of Jerusalem. So that creates strong local leadership that works with us to improve the quality of life in the different neighborhoods. And that makes me also very, very happy. So I think that these two elements, number one, increasing the police and working harder with the local leadership to restore peace and quiet in the schools, in the neighborhoods, is something that's, the trend is very, very positive, and I'm very happy. Now, they say that in the Middle East it's hard to predict the past. So none of us really know what's going to happen tomorrow, but the investments of time that we're making in returning law and order on the one hand and peace and quiet and investments on the other hand, I think is showing and demonstrating that there's a dramatic decrease in the amount of violence by teenagers in the Arab neighborhoods of Jerusalem.
What's your message to those in the international community, and particularly the U.S., that criticize Israel, Jerusalem, and you for building in different parts of Jerusalem?
Well, my message, yeah, indeed, I sometimes hear criticism. I sometimes hear criticism on building in Jerusalem. And my message as mayor is, look, the alternative is not building at all. Not building for whom? For Jews and Arabs together? Should I freeze all the investments we're making for the Arab neighborhoods that I just demonstrated to you? God forbid. If I would have listened to the international community and stopped building in the city of Jerusalem, meaning stop building all the schools that I just demonstrated, we built 171 classrooms, or the road infrastructure, or does anybody tell me as mayor of Jerusalem that if somebody wants to build a piece of land, I should ask him, wait a minute, if you're Jewish, you're not allowed, if you're Christian, you're not allowed, only if you're Muslim, you're allowed, or you're black, you're not allowed? In which country, in which law, can I discriminate people by their faith, by their religion, by the color of their skin? And what you see today is a commitment to build for all residents, Jews, Muslims, Christians. There's a piece of property there I'll show you that is 400 units that is owned by Christians, which are striving and longing to have a piece of property developed for themselves. And we're giving them permits. It's the second piece of property that we're really helping the Christians, the Christian here in Jerusalem, to have their own community, side by side to the Muslim and the Jewish communities. And the alternative for not building is terrible. It's either freezing everyone, or, God forbid, discriminating by people's race. I don't accept not that and not that option. The only option is to build honestly and fairly according to the master plan that takes into consideration natural growth, 50,000 apartments for Jews and Muslims and Christians alike. And that is exactly what you're seeing today. And what we do is sticking to the master plan as much as we can. Number one. Number two, sticking to law and the processes developed by law in Israel, which is based on English law, and not moving an inch. Because if we don't build, what's going to happen is that the Muslims and Christians and the Arabs, unfortunately, will build illegally. I don't want that to happen, because when they build illegally, they build without, unfortunately, sometimes it's not safe, sometimes it's on pieces of property that is they don't own, and they build instead of schools, instead of kindergartens, instead of roads. They don't want that. The majority of the Arab population wants the quality of life around them high, so they want us to plan and help them accomplish improvement in quality of life. And if we don't build for the Jews, they leave the city of Jerusalem. I don't want my girls to leave the city because they don't have apartments. I want them to be able to stay. And if you look at the trends in the last 40 years, the Jewish population and the Arab population are scaling. As a matter of fact, the Arab population was scaling faster than the Jewish population. So all this criticism is factually unacceptable. And the alternatives of not building or freezing is insane in my mind, because it doesn't give solutions to the needs of the people.
Why do you insist that these problematic neighborhoods in Jerusalem, Isawiya, Jabal Mukaber, Shuafat, remain within the municipal boundaries of Jerusalem? Wouldn't it serve your interests to redraw the municipal boundary and at the same time increase the Jewish majority within Jerusalem?
For me, all residents of Jerusalem are my children, and I have to improve their quality of life. You cannot be an ostrich and decide there's a problem here, I'm going to be an ostrich and ignore it. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that in any city. It doesn't work like that in the city of Jerusalem. So what you really have to do is focus on how to improve all residents of Jerusalem's quality of life. And you don't choose. It's not pick and choose. You don't pick and choose people of the city of Jerusalem. And I want to remind you all one more important thing, which has a lot to do with the history of the city of Jerusalem. The city of Jerusalem, 3,000 years ago, the city of Jerusalem 3,000 years ago, for 1,000 years was the center of the world. It never discriminated the different tribes, Jews and non-Jews alike. All people used to come to Jerusalem to worship their faith. To remind you, there were no Christians at the time, there were no Muslims at the time, but Jews and non-Jews alike all came to the center of the world called the city of Jerusalem, which was never divided. The city of Jerusalem didn't ever tell somebody you are not allowed in because of your thoughts, because which tribe you're from, if you're Jewish or non-Jewish. They were all accepted. I'm committed to that strategy. Everyone is accepted in the city as long as they come peacefully, of course. You come peacefully, you want to enjoy your faith, you're Christian, you're Muslim, you're Jewish. Come peacefully, and you can enjoy the beautiful, amazing city of Jerusalem. You want to come and live here? That's also fine, but be peaceful. And it doesn't matter where you stay in the city of Jerusalem, the municipality and I are committed to improve your quality of life. As a united, undivided city. You'll be peaceful, enjoy the city. You want to be harmful, no entry.
So how does the United States and the State Department, the international community oppose your plan?
You're gonna have to ask them, not me.
Have you talked about this with the State Department?
Well,
they continually condemn your plans to expand.
Yeah. The question is, why do the U.S. administration, I assume I could probably add the European, many of the European leadership condemn the plan? First of all, I don't think they really know the plan. There's a conception that
Have you met with them? Have you talked to them about it?
there's a conception that we're waking up in the morning and building for Jews and discriminating Arabs, which is exactly, it's untrue. Factually, it's not true. The second thing is they have a theoretical, maybe, model of maybe if you split the city somehow, peace and quiet will come to our region. It doesn't fly. You have to understand how the city works, how it's developed. There's a law, there's master plan, there's a zoning code. We have residents that want to improve their quality of life, and I will show you today both the maps and the reality that we're committed to help and improve quality of life for all residents of the city of Jerusalem, regardless of their religion, regardless of their faith. And anybody that thinks that by, God forbid, splitting the city in half gets us anywhere, it's a terrible deal. Terrible deal. And it will never fly. It will never work.
Have you explained this?
And I'm explaining this over and over again. And unfortunately, sometimes I hear them say, don't confuse us with facts. Well, I'm not confusing with facts. Facts show and demonstrate that the city is scaling in a positive momentum to the growing satisfaction of all residents. Exclude, unfortunate, the round of violence we had in our region, which I'm sure will restore peace and quiet very, very quickly. And I will stick to the plan. You need to deeply understand how the city is built to understand that there's only one model, the model that we're proposing. No other model for the city of Jerusalem will ever work.
What you would say to
Maybe,
this,
with your permission, what we're going to do now is get on the bus. I'm going to join the bus, the big bus, and we have a few other cars, I assume, driving around. So if you really want